Lakers-Celtics, it's by far the best rivalry in the history of the NBA because both illustrious and historic franchises have 17 championships. It's also a big rivalry here at Chat Sports, as evidenced by the numbers to my right. Boston Celtics today with nearly 2,000 subs in the month of July. Lakers Report doing well, more than 1,000 subscribers in July. Let's catch up to the Celtics, overtake them in August. Just hit that red sub button down below for the best Lakers coverage. All right, here we go. This is the Los Angeles Lakers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Coming your way on today's show, 8 lineups for the Lakers if Russell Westbrook begins the season on this roster. Now, we'll set the foundation, get you caught up with all of the latest with Russ. Increasing signs that the Lakers could decide to keep him for now, then reevaluate that situation at the trade deadline, depending on how LA is playing, also how Russell Westbrook is faring in yet another season in the NBA. Trade talks up to this point. Couple of teams, I guess, kind of involved, the Indiana Pacers and the Brooklyn Nets, but those talks stalling a little bit, mainly due to added draft compensation. They want another first-round pick included. Jeannie Buss, as we know, does not want to include yet another selection. So up to this point, the Russell Westbrook trade talks and trade discussion somewhat stagnant. Of course, if a Russell Westbrook trade does go down, we'll be the first to let you know right here on the channel. That's why you subscribe. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these lineups that Darvin Ham could use at his disposal with Russell Westbrook on this team. Our best guess as of right now at the starting lineup, let's go with this. Russell Westbrook playing the point. Austin Reeves playing that 2 guard who can also play a little wing. LeBron James plays basically every position on the floor. Anthony Davis at the 4 because he likes to play that role instead of the 5, kind of shies away from contact and the rigors of it for an entire season. So he gets to stay comfortable at that 4 spot, then Thomas Bryant at the 5. Then we go to the better closing lineup. And is this the better closing lineup? Where you take Russell Westbrook off the floor, given his lack of elite play when the going gets tough. Kendrick Nunn replaces him, Austin Reeves still on the wing, and the remainder of that 5 intact with Anthony Davis, Thomas Bryant, and LeBron James. And last year we saw it with head coach Frank Vogel leading the charge in benching Russell Westbrook during the guts of the game, especially considering how he played for the first 3+ quarters. He saw that Russell Westbrook was a liability late, so he decided to bench him, and a couple of times in instances it actually worked out in the Lakers' favor. So what do you think? You saw Vogel bench Russ last year. Do you think that he should play in some of these crunch time lineups? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Sound off. Let me know what you think right now. We pivot to another one. If you do want Anthony Davis down low, you can have him at the 5 spot. And I think at this point, given the current path and where the NBA game is, where it's headed, and Anthony Davis just really struggling last year, shooting less than 20% from beyond the arc, him playing the 5 presents a lot of favorable matchups for Los Angeles. You still have Russell Westbrook from that playmaking standpoint. I'm excited to see what Lonnie Walker can do. I think there's a better player in there than what we've seen from a guy who was a first-round pick coming out of Miami for the San Antonio Spurs. Reeves has to improve his shooting consistency, but I like the effort he gives you defensively, so you get a little bit of that tenacity there. And then once again, you're paced by LeBron James, and any lineup where LeBron James is on the floor, even though he's about to be 38 years old in the winter, you're led by one of the best and most dominant players that we've ever seen in the NBA, and still one of the best dominant players in the NBA today. I don't think you want to overdo it with Davis at center just because of how he feels about playing that position. Look, I'd try to sit him down, have a conversation, and tell him, Anthony, you can really exploit a lot of bigger, sluggish centers down low. Why not play at that 5 spot if it means that your production is going to be better and you impact the team? He'd feast on some of those slower bigs. That's why I want to see AD at that 5, but the Lakers have invested at that center spot with Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones throughout the offseason. Spacing the floor lineup. we know that shooting is critical, and we also know the Lakers don't have a lot of shooting. So we're going to do our best with this one. But at some point, you got to play 4-5 out, and you do have to space the floor to open up some driving lanes. And in this instance, you can do that to a certain degree. Kendrick Nunn, Lonnie Walker, Anthony Davis, don't get it twisted. And don't sleep on Thomas Bryant shooting the three. He can let it fly a little bit. The percentage is not always there, but he can at the very least space the floor a little bit. And then LeBron James, of course, the mainstay once again. Now, we greatly appreciate all of you who watch us on YouTube, and we want to overtake Boston Celtics today with more subscribers in the month of August to just shut Will Scott up. He has way too much energy sometimes. So make sure you follow us on Rumble. Free and uncensored content over there. Sports, news, politics, tech, and business. We continue to grow to the platforms that you use. And how about this? We're 122 people away from 3,000 followers on Rumble. So check out our channel. Sometimes we put exclusive content there. It's rumble.com/LakersTV. Ultra small ball lineup. This is something that I actually am a big fan of, and I think that Darvin Ham is going to experiment with a lineup like this. Now, I'm not sure if Troy Brown Jr. is going to be a part of it, but you can put Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Lonnie Walker, and Anthony Davis out there to play that small ball five. Of course, AD playing a little five, but you can also have some guys hang out around the three-point perimeter. As for LeBron James playing the point, I like that idea because it's worked a lot, and his vision truly is just one of a kind and special given his size, power, and athleticism. You let him run the point here, he can set everybody else up. Austin Reeves at the corner, Trey, Anthony Davis inside, outside, Thomas Bryant too, although you probably want to see him primarily stay down low with the rest of the lineup here, and then Kendrick Nunn, who can also handle the basketball if you get going in transition. And what's crazy about LeBron is just his ability over time to adapt and evolve his game. He can literally excel at any position on the floor and play all positions at an extremely high level, even the five sometimes now, primarily defensively on that end, but the point here being LeBron James still just one of one. Who will have the biggest impact among these three, I guess, side pieces, as we might say, or rotational pieces? Is it Kendrick Nunn, Austin Reeves, or Lonnie Walker? Give me a 12 for Nunn, 15 for Austin Reeves, or 4 for Lonnie Walker. Once again, I value all of your basketball thoughts from Laker Nation in the comment section right now. If you do want to keep Russell Westbrook happy, he fired his agent, he's had a couple of down years, frustrated with the situation in LA, you just let him steer the ship. You let him be the captain and let him just really primarily run the offense with this lineup. And you're relying on Russ to be the primary ball handler, the primary distributor, and the primary scorer. So he plays alongside Juan Toscano-Anderson, who we're mentioning for the first time, Lonnie Walker, Thomas Bryant, and Austin Reeves. And it's really important for Russ, because of his lack of efficiency shooting the basketball, to surround him with shooters and cutters. And especially in transition, sometimes that's where he thrives. When he doesn't really have to think too much. When he has to think too much, that's when he's prone to turning the basketball over. The bench mob unit, this is last case scenario, but we just want to have fun with this one. This is if people are injured, people are resting, or they just need a flat-out breather. And if this lineup gets hot, you can escape with your heads above water. If it doesn't get hot and it grows cold, then you run into some problems. Kendrick Nunn, Lonnie Walker, Stanley Johnson, Damian Jones, as well as Talen Horton-Tucker. And then another bench look, if you just want to tinker with that iteration that we just talked about, you make some changes here with Kendrick Nunn, Damian Jones, Talen Horton-Tucker, Juan Toscano-Anderson, and Troy Brown Jr. Again, you don't want to have to rely on this lineup, but throughout an 82-game slate, sometimes you'll have to put out a lineup out there that you just hope that you can survive. The bench players, for me, when you canvass this roster, when you dissect it and you break it down, the Lakers don't have a lot of depth. That is a little bit of a concern. They don't have a ton of shooting, youth, athleticism. The bench players this year, just in general, are going to have career years to help boost the potential for the purple and gold this year if they want any hopes of making a deep run in what is going to be a stacked Western Conference. Before we hop on out of here, are you subscribed to the channel? Are you a regular absorber of our content? Do you have those noties on where we push out a video, you tap in right away like LeBron Chance, and you let us know that you're the first one to watch? If you file under any of those categories, I want you to type squad in the comments because that means that you're a real one, and I know there are a bunch of real ones out there. So show us that you're real and you're keeping it a buck, and thanks for watching today's show.